Welcome, Army fans. This is Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com, along with former Army linebacker and awesome guest analyst here at GBK, Alex Aukerman. Alex, what were your thoughts on the game today?
Yeah, hey, they got it done. I don't think there were any turnovers, weren't too many big plays, but I think just Army played their style of football, ran the ball a ton, and yeah, got it done. Hey, it's wins aren't easy to come by, so whatever it takes, they were able to do it. So always a lot better than the last time I was here after Tulane, where another game came down to the stretch and we couldn't pull it out. So it's good to be on the other side.
Absolutely. This team has had a lot of close calls, reminiscent of your first year, actually, a 2017 team. You guys had a super tight game against Temple. It was
Good.
Kelvin Hopkins coming out party.
It
Uh,
was.
so a lot more offense in that one, but very similar outcome at the end of the day. I think today was the ultimate kind of most Army of all Army games. If you're not a fan of Academy football, you this one might not excite you too much. But it's funny. I have a buddy of mine he's a big Clemson fan, but he loves Army too, and he loves Jake Rendina, and he was like all
Nice.
about Rendina having a big game today.
Yep.
Fullback dive was there pretty much. It looked like whenever they wanted to run it. I think was, and I don't know if you noticed that, like, was Temple's defense just like selling out to stop Helms? Because fullback dive was going for like, I mean, it wasn't going for 20 or 30, but it was going for like
Yeah.
5 to 7 a clip, it seemed like.
I mean, I really just think the O line had, one of their best games.
Yeah.
That's something that stood out to me where it seemed like, if you take a snapshot half a second after the ball snapped, that all the O line are moving forward and all the D line are moving backwards. So that's always a good sight to see.
Yeah, I actually brought that up with Kel Helms in the post-game press conference that, all right, not a lot of huge gains or anything like that, but every play you could physically see the line of scrimmage move, which is kind of all
Yeah.
you're looking for, right?
Yeah, I don't think they had many negative plays. I think early on some of the penalties got them. The very first drive, I think they had two.
Yep.
The false start, whatever, that was worth the risk, honestly, because it was on
Right.
the 1 yard line.
On your
Like,
own one
try
yard
to get it.
line, like who cares?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it just seemed like they were always kind of on schedule
Yeah.
during the game, so that was good to see.
Yeah, as a defensive player, when the offense is converting all those fourth and shorts like they were in the second half, they were 4 for 4
Mhm.
in the second half on 4th and 1. What does that do for you? You're sitting there over on the sideline wondering if you got to go back in or not, kind of maybe even getting ready, standing up on the sideline, and then you see him just continually get it. What does that do for you as a defensive player in terms of like just your motivation, your overall mindset, your confidence?
Yeah, I mean, when the other team's converting fourth down, I mean, it's the worst because you're already kind of thinking like, oh man, here we go. We're gonna get a stop. This is our chance to, as a defense, kind of make that game-changing play. Like we get a stop here. It's almost the same as a turnover. So, it's a turnover on down. So that's kind of how you look at it because you don't get that many opportunities to just straight up, hey, at the end of this play, it's either going to be the drive's going to continue or we're going to get a turnover. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough because especially, me being a linebacker, being in the trenches, some would say, those fourth downs kind of are on you a little bit more than say a safety, that's 8 yards back and then they rush for two. Like there's nothing that person could have
Right.
done. But if you can put your guy into the backfield, then you can cause some havoc and be responsible for getting a stop. So yeah, I mean they just keep getting fourth downs. You kind of take that as a hit to the pride as a unit, as a D lineman or as a linebacker that even if it's a play action pass, like it's just it feels like it falls on you. So that's a hit to the ego and it's hard to just see that keep happening over and over again and especially against Army's offense because it's like they're not passing much so
You're right.
it's just like man versus man, O line versus D line, who can knock the other person back, like rugby style. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was just a power of will, and I think the O line, obviously the coaches will know better than me, but it seemed like their best all around game of just knocking the D line back every play.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I mean, they look pretty dominant. I noticed the tight end had a really good game blocking Pulaski, and
Yep.
I know they
Yep.
use
And the big
tight
catch.
ends on multiple plays, but yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And he
Yeah.
had that big catch. That
The
was a big
big
one.
catch. Yep.
Yep.
We're gonna get into that play. We've got a highlight of that. That was an interesting one.
Yep.
As a fan, as an Army 4th and 1, I'm going, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? And then
Yep.
they completed. I'm like, oh, great call, Cody. Good
Yep.
job. So I get it. It's funny we talk about that, like watching Army just the two drives. I mean, grand total in the game, both teams had 6 possessions. Army just
Crazy.
eats it for the last 10 minutes. How hard? I think you coached a little bit, right? Like, how hard is it? Like, we always talk about, like, oh, this coach is a great coach, and Temple's their program's heading in the right direction. Like, to me,
Mhm.
especially after Matt Rule left, he was there when you were there. After he
Yep.
left, they kind of took a nosedive, and they were kind of like one of the bottom feeders of the American Conference. And now that new staff, to me, clearly has them headed in the right direction. And a lot of times, as supporters of the Army program, people are, oh, so and so's well coached, or this team's well coached, or gosh, this is going to be a tough game for Monken to prepare for. Like, what's it got to be like preparing for Army? Just like you know what they're going to do, and they're just going to bleed you to death, and there's just nothing you can do to stop it. It's just everybody on 4th and 1, the entire stadium and everybody watching on TV knows Kel Helms is getting the ball, and it's either going to be a QB sneak or maybe a QB follow, right?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's why you play. You play for those just you got to win your one-on-one matchup. Everybody, all 11 people doing their job, and everybody knows what's going to happen. Maybe there's a wrinkle in here where you'd hit a tight end pop, but yeah, I mean, those are exciting plays, and just preparing for Army. Like I know, especially in these as a D lineman, especially when you're like an edge rusher, you just have to like want to skip that week because you're trying to get your sack stats, you're trying to stay healthy to finish out the year and maybe go to the NFL, whatever it may be, and then
Right.
you just get 60 minutes of 12 play drives of people at your legs coming from all angles. I mean, if you remember, like before we played Houston in the bowl game, they had like 5 of their D linemen opted out, like
Yep, everybody
game
opted out.
the second the
Ed
game was
Oliver, who's
announced.
like one of the best D linemen in the
Yeah.
NFL now.
He's like,
I was
nope,
like, when he
no
opted out, I
shot.
was like, oh, this is going to be a beatdown. And it's just
Right.
like, and that was back in the days where you could cut anywhere on the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah. So I just think as a D lineman, it's like, well, we're just gonna get run right at us, double teams, and I'm not gonna get my stats. I'm not gonna, get my name called much on the
Not going to get any
loudspeaker, but
sacks.
yeah, and I'm just gonna get and on Sunday I'm gonna wake up and I can barely get out of bed. And you just gotta like accept that. So it's definitely not the one they circle on their schedule, like I can't wait to play that
I
game
can't
as a
wait for
D
this
lineman.
game. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. I mean, I got to think even the corners, right? It's like
Yeah.
normally they get the chance to pick off passes, make big
Yep.
plays, like break up some passes. They're in coverage all the time. Like against Army, you're going to get blocked by these wide receivers like 80%, 90% of the time.
Right. And then you're finally like, oh man, maybe this is a chance I can make a play. And then you're looking back and then, it's actually a pass play and you got to recover real quick. So yeah,
Right.
you get lulled to sleep because you've just been doing, trying to do your job all game. But,
Yeah.
you miss a key for 1 second and now you get a little stutter step and it's a pass. So yeah, it's tough, and that's part of the deal. So
Yeah. So the game, starts off Army to first. Temple gets the ball, drive the ball down the field, and again, I know Nate Woody hates when I use this term, but they are the ultimate bend but don't break defense, and
yeah.
they are just not going to get beat deep. Larkin and Madison are going to sit back there, and
Yep.
they ain't letting nothing behind them. And as long as they keep everything in front of them, they know they can eventually bear down and get a stop. And on the 26-yard line, they did that. And then the kicker was wide with the field goal. Anything you noticed about the first drive and the way they're matching up? Obviously, Temple's QB statistically is I think the second best quarterback in the conference, right behind Mestermaker from North Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought they played well. I thought the inside linebackers played well.
Yeah.
I think maybe they had one sack. I think
Yeah,
maybe
they did
Fortner.
flush him a lot though. They put a lot
Yeah,
of
well, that's what I was about to say. Like, I don't think the stats really showed much, but it seemed
yeah.
like they were getting some decent pressure back there that made him, roll out. He had a good
He
amount of
had to throw
throwaways.
away a lot of
Yeah.
balls.
So, that was good to see. And I mean, I just think Larkin and Madison kind of, they just keep everything in front of them. I know they ended up scoring on that fourth down, but I think Larkin came over and made a great play tackling him down on the two.
Yeah.
I thought for sure he
Yeah,
was going to
Coach
score on
Monken
that.
said that series when they scored the touchdown, we had guys with their eyes in the wrong place 3 plays in a row. Like he was like the one because they should have scored on third down. The QB sailed it.
Yeah.
Uh, and then on fourth down, they let him go again. And Coach Monken was just like, we got to do a better job of coaching.
Yeah.
Like,
But on that second down, he like I think it was a tight end caught the ball and I thought he was just going to run in and Larkin came across the field and tackled him short and that just seems like kind of how they play defense. Like they're always stopping and not letting all those extra yards after catch take place. Where even if they are catching it, they're pretty sure tacklers. So, that's positive to see that they're not just breaking off these really explosive plays nonstop. So those two dudes do a really good job at that.
yeah, absolutely. I watched Tulane Memphis last night, and obviously I watch a lot of other teams, and you don't see defensive backs tackle that well. Madison
Yeah.
and Larkin are both really good tacklers, so that's cool. So yeah, and then so it's nothing. As you mentioned, Army had the drive that was stopped by the false start. They had the illegal shift, punt it back to Temple. Temple goes down. We think, yeah, we got another stop. And then on yeah, we had to force them to punt. And then seven, and then we go down and have that really long drive, score the first touchdown, 7 points. We have Jake Rendina's 11-yard touchdown run on that drive available here. That was one of the things I noticed, and I brought it up to Jake, had a chance to interview him after the game. Fullback dives seemed to be there whenever we wanted it today. If we didn't overuse it, I mean, Helms was still the primary ball carrier, but both Rendina and Carson Smith had some good like 5 to 7 yard gains on fullback
Yeah.
dive.
Yeah, man, I think our fullbacks are really good blockers too. So it's just like
Yes.
if you're, that's kind of like the change up where, hey, sometimes they're just leading blocking and that's just an extra guy that, can help push the pile and knock the line of scrimmage backwards. So, I understand this like and then you mix it up and you give it to them. And it's a different look. So, but yeah, I thought the fullbacks played really well too. And yeah, Rendina's a beast. I bet he puts up crazy numbers in the weight room.
Yeah, they were with the O line. So I'm sure that's
And I like the neck roll.
yeah, exactly. You gotta love a fullback with a neck roll. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It reminds me of North Dakota State. It's beautiful. So here we go. I'm gonna this is Rendina's 11-yard touchdown run, I believe.
Go to the left side this time on first
Yeah, I mean, I think the first time he touched was at like, 3 yards past the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, they're getting crazy pushback.
Yeah. Look at 44 Pulaski to tight end, just leading them into the end zone.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with his blocking today. I thought that was really good.
Yep. Yeah, he played really well. Yeah, just all around that unit was good. And it's like, hey, they only scored 14 points, but when you look at how much time they took off and
Right.
then I
They
mean, they
could have
obviously
scored
could have scored
21
at
if
the
they
end
wanted
too.
to. We'll get to
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. Like that was just high IQ, like, doing your job, what's best for the team at the end, which is smart because it's the worst when it's like, that they're trying to let you score and some dude goes into the end zone. And you're like, oh my gosh. Like,
All the time.
yeah,
Like I get that it goes against your instincts, like to not score,
yeah,
but like that's the only way the other team has a chance. Like, and
right,
guys do it all the time. And like,
right. And it's
good
just,
on Kale Helms, two
that's
plays in a
arm.
row, he went
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. I felt. I think that spot was pretty bad on the slide. I don't know about that. I didn't
Yeah,
know if they showed us a great replay, but I thought he got the first down. But it ended up working out fine. So
it
I mean,
ended
I
up
can't
working out
complain.
either way. Yeah, and Coach Monken said, "Well, I forgot to tell him to get the first down first, so that's on
Yeah,
me." But like, no, I thought the spot was questionable as well.
yeah. I was like, no
And
way they're gonna
yeah,
do him like that. But there's no doubt they got the first down and then it was game. So it ended up
yes, it was
being
really
just fine.
nice to see him make that intelligent play. It's funny. I always like I have PTSD from that because in the NFL, I'm a Giants fan, and
Yeah,
the last Super Bowl the Giants beat the Patriots. They let Ahmad Bradshaw score, or the
yeah.
not y'all's Ahmad Bradshaw, but the
I
Giants
got
running
this.
back,
Yep.
and he was like trying not to, and he like
Yeah.
fell into the end zone.
Well, you can see on the last like kneel down slide, the Temple guy looks to the sideline. He's going touchdown. He's
Yeah,
he's trying to get him to rule it as a touchdown. So yeah,
it was
definitely
great.
they're
So
definitely going for that.
yeah, so it's 7-0. Then Temple comes back down and scores 7-all, and then really rough last couple minutes for Army at the end of the first half. Had they not played so well in the second half, that could have cost them the game.
Yeah.
They get stopped on fourth down. Guy shoots right through the B gap. Nobody blocks him, just a missed assignment. So is that kind of what you saw too on that play on the fourth and short where he got stuffed?
Yeah. I mean, basically that. Yeah, you nailed it. Like it was unfortunate, and I wish the defense could have gone out there and but they prevented a touchdown
They
before the
prevented
half.
a
So
touchdown. And so
yeah,
it's 10-7. It's not the end of the world. Army
we get
gets
the
the
ball
ball,
second half. Yep.
start a second half, and goes on an 8-minute soul crushing drive.
Yeah.
It's up 14-10. That was the drive with the play action pass completion to Pulaski on fourth down.
Yep.
So we're going to look at that play right now. Is that? No, wait. Is that? No, that's down by the end zone. That can't be right. So yeah, this is it. Okay. All right. So 4th and 1 here, right? Army. Can you see my screen, Alex?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I can see it.
Yep. Army lines up in what looks like an obvious running formation typically, right? They'd run QB
Yep.
follow behind the left side of the line there, right?
Yep. You can see 10 Temple dudes there in the
Yeah.
frame.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, exactly. Within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, they're all thinking
Yeah.
run.
On fourth down with
And
25
he's a
remaining,
nice little
fourth down
chip there
conversion this
too.
year. Stewart in pursuit, deep downfield, catch made. Pulaski, the
Yeah.
tight
So I
end.
mean that's the tight
Yeah,
end's
let me
dream
go
right
back.
there.
Was Pulaski's pattern? Did he drag from
He,
across the formation, or
no,
was he?
no, he comes down and actually chips that guy that is in the backfield.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you rewind it like another second, yeah, you'll see him. He actually down blocks and then
Okay.
releases.
Yep. There he is, right there. Yep.
And then, the secondary is probably looking like, oh, he's climbing to the second level like it's a block, but then he
Yep.
just, keeps rolling.
Perfect.
Yep. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
great
The
play
down block
design.
is kind of what springs him there, right?
Yeah, I mean, whoever's probably reading the key on him, I'd have to see like the all 22 to see what kind of coverages they were in, but a lot of times that's the first key. So it's like you see him down block, and given the situation, the last thing you think is like, he's releasing for a pass. So then it's kind of like oh, it's a pass, and you just kind of are sprinting behind him. So it's probably the guy that tackled him was like, going in on the run. He saw his key blocking down, and then he's like, oh man, this is a rollout, and then he's just
Yeah.
trying to chase him. So and at that point, he's gone. He has his separation, so it
Yeah,
was
and
just
I
a
mean, Army
pass.
throws to the tight end so infrequently.
Yeah,
Anyway, it's
exactly.
like- yeah, and actually, Helms told me Rendina actually was the primary read on that. He
Oh
leaked that
yeah,
into the flat underneath, but he was covered, and so he went deep to Parker on
nice.
that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that was if you want to mark one play of the game, it might be that one, just since given the circumstances of what happens if they don't get that.
Exactly. And that's,
Yeah.
I always, my thing with Army football, right? They're never going to be a passing team. They're never, even like as much as Navy or Air Force, like it's a
Yeah.
different offense. Like they're not going to throw it as much as either of those two academies. And at the end of the day, they have to be able to run the ball. But I've always contended, like, I don't care who the quarterback is, and I don't care who you're playing, you've got to complete a couple key passes or at least have the threat of a pass to at least make all 11 on defense think about it and not just
Yeah.
fly to the line of scrimmage, right?
Yeah. I mean, unless it's just, you're unstoppable, then you just keep doing it.
Yeah. Like with
But
Bryson Daly last year, he
right.
was so good, it really didn't matter. But
Yeah.
with Helms is great, but he's a little more human, I think. And so they've got to have at least the threat of a pass, especially like in the academy games. Like against Air Force and Navy, it's super crucial. Like last week we were talking, I had Marquel Broughton on, and we were talking about, just the two deep balls and how, with the polecat formation where they had the linemen out to just to give the defense something to worry about and think
Mhm.
about.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes it tough on the defensive coaches. They got to go over that in the game plan. They got to add these little formations and stuff. So that definitely, adds into their time spent, preparing for the old Black Knights. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great play.
Yep. And so they go down, score with like 7 minutes left in the third quarter. Temple comes back down, and the defense does a really nice job to hold them to a field goal.
Yep.
They had 3rd and 5 in the red zone, and Andon Thomas, uh, and I can't remember who else combined on the tackle, but they stuffed them for a 1 yard loss, and that was big. Like they couldn't even think about going for it because it was fourth
Yep.
and six.
Yep.
Talk to that play a little bit. Like the guy ran the ball up the middle. You remember that one?
Um, I don't. I kind of do. Yeah. I just
Yeah.
I just know that I was like, all right, let's get a stop here, and I thought they were gonna spread it out a little bit more than they did. And they didn't. So,
And they did, right.
yeah, everybody did their job. Nate Woody had it dialed up. So yeah,
Yep.
it was good.
So 14-13, which ended up being the final of the game.
Yeah,
And then Army got the ball back and couldn't didn't have a super successful drive because they had a holding call, which put them behind the chains.
yeah,
And then punted the Temple. And then I talked about this with Andon Thomas in the press conference. Temple's inside their own 20, and we hold them to a 3-and-out.
great. Yeah,
How
great.
important was that series of downs?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, and that's like when you're going out there as a defensive player, I don't think you're thinking, hey, if they punt right here, they're not getting the ball back. I mean, I know, even though hey, this is how Army operates, and that's what ended up happening. You're just like, all right, the last thing we can do is let them come down and score, even a field goal, and make our offense like, as we're running off the field, like dap up the offense, like, hey, go win it for us.
Yeah.
So it's more just like, hey, if we do our job, if they don't score another point, like unless something crazy happens and it's a scoop and score, like, we're gonna walk away from here with a W. So, getting a 3 now is massive. And yeah, and then obviously that proved to be enough. There you hand the keys to the offense, and
Yep.
they
And
they
that
did
was
their
it.
thing.
3 4th downs on the last series, I think they converted, and
Yeah. 18,
all
18
fourth and
plays.
ones.
18 plays and
Yep.
milk to the rest of the clock. Crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. In my brief coaching career, I used to tell our kids, if you can make the other team go more than 10 plays, they'll probably make a mistake like a fumble or
Yeah.
interception and stop themselves. And with Army, that just doesn't hold true.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
so yeah, that was it. And they just
That was the
ran out
game.
the game. So 6 possessions. It was very similar to an academy type game. It
Yep.
reminded me of an Army Air Force or an Army Navy game. And Army comes away with the win. After starting the season 1-3, they're now 1 game away from bowl eligibility, which is
Yep.
a really big deal. Nothing's easy, but they have a really struggling Temple or Tulsa team in 2 weeks. that they have to play, and they should at Mikey, they should get that one and go to 6-4, which means the UTSA game now, thankfully, they don't have to go on the road and win in order to be bowl eligible, because that is a really tough ask. So, just kind of talk about the turnaround of, where you've seen this team, because you've been watching them most of the year. Started with a loss to SCS Tarleton State and started 1-3. And they've won 4 of their last 5 now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a roller coaster, guaranteed in that locker room. Like there's been a lot of outside noise. Obviously, after the Tarleton State, everybody's ready to give up on you, and then you beat Kansas State. Now everybody's, ready to appoint you as, hey, they're winning the American easy, like whatever it may be. You just gotta block all that out. So I think they've done a great job. They've lost some close ones, they've won some close ones. And yeah, so they're starting to get used to these close games. And I know down the stretch with the UTSA game, with Navy, ideally in the bowl game, like, but you can never take one of these games for granted. Even if you go out to Tulsa, they're going to have some high caliber athletes, skilled players. Every team does. Every team, I don't know
Now,
how.
not to interrupt you, Alex, but yeah, what there used to be, it. And I know even when you played, you're like, we can't take anybody. Like, I understand that. I understand the
Yeah,
mindset. You have to play well. But when you guys played before the portal, there were teams that, let's face it, like
yeah,
they just weren't that good. But now with the portal, like everybody's got kids.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, 100%. Every, not with the NIL, it's hard because I'm a little bit removed now, but it's like, if you're at one of these big time schools and you're not playing, like everybody wants to play and they could just,
right,
go to a different team. So it's like, hey, you could have some, Ohio State dude that's just been on the bench for 2 years. And then they brought in a freshman that jumps him on the depth chart and he's like, all right, well, I'm out of here. And it's like, hey, this dude was a 5-star recruit out of high school and now he's going to play receiver, somewhere else. So, we didn't have that as much with us. The one thing I would always laugh about was like we would play like Bucknell or somebody like that, and we get the scouting report, and the left and the right tackles would still be 6'6", 300, and I'm like, what? How are there this many people out here? Like, and what were you
where do all
doing?
these
What were you
large
doing?
people come from?
And what were you doing in high school to be like 6'7", 310, and you're playing
Right.
Bucknell? But hey, no
It's
offense
like
to
the
them.
guy, I haven't even really been following college basketball, but apparently Florida has a center who's 7'9".
Yeah, he does. And he's like getting it in garbage time. But so it's like there, I mean, yeah, you can go out there and if you're just like, your mind's not in it and you think you're just gonna roll these, roll the gold helmets out like Coach Monken loves to say, like that's just not really the case. So you gotta do your
Right.
job every play. They got dudes that can turn a 5 yard catch into an 80 yard touchdown. So you
Yeah.
yeah, you can't relax. So, they just got to keep playing their brand of football. I think, the defense is like I said earlier, they're very good at preventing those explosive plays. They're good at getting off the field on third down for the most part. So yeah, and, it's just keep getting better every week. Guys will start getting healthy, and that's another thing. Like, you might have just one injury for a team that doesn't look very good, but they get their stud back, and then it's like they're a whole different team. Or like a
Yeah.
quarterback goes down, and it's the best team in the country, like we saw Florida State a few years ago,
Yeah.
where it's a whole different team. So, there's always that in college football. So yeah, you just gotta keep grinding away. Keep listening to the coaches and their game plans, and yeah, keep stacking wins.
Yep. And last thing, I know the players can't afford to look ahead, but we don't play. So
Right.
we can, Navy now, I think becomes very interesting.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year, they looked like they were going to be just head and shoulders ahead of us. And we've had years where it's looked like that the other way, right? That game
Mhm.
always ends up a dogfight,
Right.
one way or the other. But now you look, it's a real possibility. I'm not just saying this because I don't like Navy. It's a real possibility they come into this game 7-4 now,
Yeah.
because they have a really tough slate the rest of the way. And we could be 6-5 or 7-4 going in as well. Really primed to kind of get revenge for last year's loss, which I know from talking to a lot of the players during the week and talking to the coaches. I mean, that game is like such a priority for them. Like it's
Yeah.
almost amazing they haven't looked ahead in some ways. I guess my big question for you is, and it worked against Air Force, so maybe I'm answering my own question here. Can Army's offense be this vanilla, and can they still get a win against Navy, or do they got to figure something out?
No, I mean, I think they can. I mean, I think as long as the O-line keeps doing what they're doing and wearing these dudes down, and they took care of the ball well, it would probably would result in another dogfight just because it's if they only get 6 possessions, then the defense is going to need to get those stops. But yeah, I mean, I think Air Force and Navy was a very close game this year, and then we went and played Air Force, and we seemed like we were kind of head and shoulders above them. Personally, is kind of what I took away from the game. So yeah, I mean, when I played, I know my freshman and sophomore year, we were a 4-win team, we were a 2-win team, and they had Keenan Reynolds, who was like
Yeah,
a legend there at Navy, and we took him to the brink, and then my senior year, we had a much better record than them, and obviously we won on a missed field goal. So it's like
right.
those games, it's you get extra weeks to prepare. You're looking to it. You're at least when I played it was CIC period. We were doing at least a little bit of practice just to stay fresh and to be ready for those games. And I know they talked about it on the broadcast where they were so complimentary of Coach Monken, like, "Hey, you had such a great year last year," and then his response is like, "Yeah, but we lost to
Well,
Navy."
yeah,
So it's like that is just kind of like Ohio State, Michigan, like they won the national championship, and then there's
yeah,
still Ryan Day's on the hot seat. So it's just like in those rivalry games,
right.
it's when you lose a regular season game, you have this really bad taste in your mouth, and you're like, man, like I just want to go out and play tomorrow so we can get a win, and then we can just kind of really put this in the past because that whole week of practice, you're like, we're coming off a loss, we're coming off a loss. When you lose to Navy, it's like you don't get your chance to, get your revenge for a whole
For a
nother
whole year.
165 days.
Yeah,
So it's the build up to it, everything leading into that week. You head to the hotel a day early. The stands are packed 2 hours, 3 hours before kickoff. Like it's just a whole different environment. So,
yeah.
it's you got to keep focusing on these games one game at a time. And then, once it's time for the Navy game, that's the kind of the legacy game. That's we're gonna have to deal with this the next 365 days. The CIC, where's it gonna go? Where's it gonna be stored for the next year? So yeah,
Yeah,
they
and with
gotta
both of us beating Air Force, the
yeah.
CIC is on the line,
Yeah.
so
They
that's
just
great.
gotta, they gotta figure out those things that, make those small adjustments, figure out, who's the best players in certain situations. So once that game comes, they're ready to, fire on all cylinders and walk away with there with the W. So
Good stuff. Well, Alex, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it. Great analysis as always. Army fans, final today from Mikey Stadium. Army 14, Temple 13. Big win. Army goes to 5-4. And couple games left. Like I said, if they beat Tulsa, they are bowl eligible. So that's a big deal. And then, of course, UTSA and Navy. So go Army, beat Navy.